Lord Eddard had ordered a mild host to escort the ladies of the north to White Harbour. Nearly a dozen riders flanked both Lady Arya and Lady Meera. Ser Davos had assured them they would sail with the tide, once they returned from Winterfell. For nearly a week they rode relentlessly down the King's Road.
South, always south.
Lady Arya repeated under her breath. Arya thought of Bran and how her past could have crossed his path. Why would the faceless men have interest in him? Their motivations seemed to revolve around monetization and the balance between life and death, neither of which involved Bran or herself. She often wondered why she was released from their guild. Perhaps defeating one of their own had earned her that right. Still, she had no definitive answer, as of yet. Lady Meera broke Arya's concentration with a thinly veiled question.
The king seems close with his heir. Was there ever conversation of more children?
Lady Meera asked, and Arya would normally take insult at the question, but Meera likely had a personal reason for her inquiry.
The gods have yet to make a king who is satisfied with his number of heirs. I have refused thus far to take part in such ambitions.
And the king has never shown interest in another?
Meera revealed, and Arya did not disagree.
The king was quite satisfied. I offered him more than any one lady could. Still, the topic of further children was rarely discussed. I could ask you the same question. You are the only living child of Lord Reed. Still, Lord Howland is yet to meet his grandchild.
Arya finished, assuming these personal questions were now fair game.
An astute observation, my future queen. My father had always promised he would not arrange my marriage, and would leave the decision to me.
Meera revealed, as their horses grunted and continued their trot down the King's Road.
I once thought I had feelings for another, but it would never result in children.
Lady Meera admitted, and Arya assumed to take her meaning.
And did Bran ever admit reciprocal feelings for you?
Arya asked, making the grave assumption Meera was admitting feelings for Bran. Meera smiled widely at Arya's presumption.
No, I cared for Bran as I'd cared for my own brother, but your assumption was not far off, milady.
Meera admitted as the two ladies shared a small amount of laughter.
Bran seemed to be changed. I'll assume you noticed the same.
Arya assumed, and Meera nodded in agreement.
Once he was touched by the Night King. He seemed different, disconnected, maybe even possessed. It's difficult to explain.
Bran himself admitted as much.
Speaking of change, your injury, the burns. I've always wanted to ask, how did it happen? I'm sure it is a thrilling tale.
Not as thrilling as one might expect.
Arya admitted in a manner that should have been taken as an end of this particular topic of conversation. Still, Lady Meera persisted.
So what caused it?
Lady Meera asked with what appeared to be great interest.
Loyalty.
Arya responded sternly and with direct eye contact. Lady Meera no longer pressed the issue. Their guard halted and prevented their own horses' onward trot. Nymeria alerted at the commotion down the road.
A wagon, headed north, Your Grace.
The guardsman advised her. The forward scouts had detained the wagon and waited for Arya and Meera to pass.
Any banners or sigils?
Arya asked as the wagon came into view.
A night's watchman, seemingly escorting a prisoner to the wall.
The guardsman responded curtly with his hand on his hilt.
I would like to greet this watchman.
Arya revealed, and the guardsman acknowledged as he set his horse to a gallop to advise the forward scouting party. Arya and Meera's horses continued their trot up to the watchman's wagon, where he stood and bowed to Lady Arya.
Apologies for my appearance, my ladies. I thought not of travelling past you on my way to Castle Black.
The watchman admitted as he reclaimed his seat on the wagon.
Where are you stationed?
Arya asked as the wagon then shook violently at the sound of her voice.
Castle Black, my lady. Transferring a prisoner as ordered.
The watchman revealed, and Arya had now become interested in his mission.
The Watch stopped recruiting criminals many years ago. Their numbers now leave little to be desired. I should know. You are aware of who my brother is.
Arya asked in a rare instance of touting their family name.
Lord Commander Stark personally approved this prisoner transfer at the request of Maester Qyburn. He had a thirst for those with oddities or unique interests.
The watchman informed her, and this continuously piqued Arya's interest.
What is unique about your prisoner? May I meet him?
Arya asked confidently to the watchman's dismay.
Oh, I would advise against it. There is little doubt this one would be worthy of mercy, Your Grace.
You misunderstand my curiosity for a request.
Arya demanded, and the watchman immediately began to become more helpful. He sprang from the driver's seat and withdrew a large staff from the floorboards. Immediately the Stark's guardsmen reached for their steel. Arya set her nerves aside and then ordered her men's apprehension aside. The watchman escorted Arya to the rear as Mira stayed atop her steed. Arya then laid eyes on him, short, stout, and missing a few senses of the common man. Arya noticed his scars in colorful designs, almost like they were intended. His tongue was removed and his eyes were glazed over. He was likely blind.
Was his tongue removal your doing?
Arya demanded, and her voice seemed to set the prisoner into a frenzy. He grasped and violently shook the cage door as Arya took a step back.
No, milady, he's dumb and blind, but he can still hear you,
claimed the watchman as his staff struck the prisoner between the steel bars that made up his cage. The mute howled as the staff made contact with his exposed ribcage.
Stop that. He's causing us no harm. Sir Jon would not approve.
Arya admitted as the blind man began to sob uncontrollably, desperately searching to find Arya's voice again.
What was his crime?
Lady Mira asked from atop her horse. Lady Arya's eyes shifted from Mira's over to the watchman, and finally rested on the poor, helpless old man.
It is of little concern to miladies.
The Lady Mira of House Reed has asked a question, and she will receive an answer. Does a brother of my brother's think us incapable of hearing his crimes?
Lady Arya demanded, and the watchman bowed his head in reluctance.
Maester Qyburn has asked for those with a certain knowledge, and a thirst for the supernatural. This man had a taste for girls, young girls that could satisfy the gods. Does my lady require me to continue?
The watchman offered with a bowed head. Arya met him there and removed the staff from his possession. Arya took the prisoner's face deep into her memory as his sobbing continued. Arya struck him again in his exposed ribcage as the old man collapsed to the floorboards of the wagon's cage. Arya's contempt was thick as she envisioned Sir Meryn Trant's throat being cut to the bone.
Consider yourself fortunate my brother wants you alive. And the king, my future husband, retains final approval on all death sentences. I've executed men for less. Much less.
Arya spat with a measured loathing.
Please continue on your original path. Any attempt at escape for this one should be met with immediate death. Should that be the case, please mention my name if you should find yourself under judgment.
Arya offered as the blind mute prisoner continued to sob uncontrollably.
As milady commands.
The watchman finished while taking up his horse's driving reins.
May I ask your name?
Arya asked with a false intrigue as she stared intensely at the feeble prisoner.
Olivan, if it pleases your grace, this scum can't speak or write his own name, so I find myself ignorant.
He finished as Arya reclaimed her horse.
Safe travels, Olivan. Please give my regards to Sir Hunts and to your Lord Commander.
Days then had passed, and Arya found it difficult to shake the thought of the watchman's prisoner from her mind. The merman sculptures of White Harbour appeared at a distance, and the ladies trotted their horses over the longship Avalanche's forward brow. Arya and Mira dismounted, and the deckhands cast off all lines. Ser Davos had made good on his promise. The Onion Knight revealed himself on deck just as Arya was looking for him.
We received word from Winterfell to prepare to sail for Eastwatch, and then for...
the free city of Bravos. I'm sure this is where Bran is being held.
Arya finished, confirming what she assumed to be Ser Davos's first question.
This wasn't the only word we received, milady. Word from Maidenpool, apparently the capital was destroyed by storm. Lord Tyrion, Lady Sansa, and the king were said to have survived, but the maester and rookery were destroyed.
Davos finished, and Arya seemed to reflect on this news.
Sir Davos, we will sail as planned. Was there any word from Storm's End?
Arya asked impatiently as Davos then answered her.
Not as of yet, milady. We have trust in the Ironborn. They never miss a port once they've plotted their chart.
Davos finished as Arya probably seemed uncomfortable at these words. The sails dropped as Mira then approached Sir Davos.
Good sir, was there any word as to my father's safety?
Apologies, Lady Mira. But the Maidenpool letter made no mention as to the health and safety of anyone except the king, the Hand, and his wife.